It's the most. It's just the most softball crazy shit in the world.
Yeah, the ending was really sold it for me. I mean, she corrected him gently about you lost the 2020 election. That was really the only time I saw real pushback. And then at the very end, to be like, thank you so much, sir. No, seriously, thank you for the honor. Thank you so much.
Like
It's
it was
like
one of
that.
the dumbest, most softball. Like he would just say things that are just blatantly not correct. She'd kind of barely sort of correct it, and then they just move on to the next thing. And
Right.
he still said it was a super harsh interview. And by the end, he was saying that like I'm treated very unfairly, and these are harsh interviews. And then it's like, what the fuck, dude? Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, how dare you ask me questions? How dare you say that economists say the tariffs are, going to be
Well, it's not even about that. It's
going
also
to
just
raise
about him like
prices.
just blatantly lying. Like he just blatantly
To her
lies about
face.
stuff. Yeah, he just says things that are just completely and totally factually not true. Yeah.
And that's NBC. That's
This is
NBC. And he has not been inaugurated yet.
the liberal media, bro. Go back and watch that
Right.
Kamala interview on CNN where they were like, "What about in 2019? Where you said about fuck, what was it? Fracking. You said you were going to ban fracking. Oh yeah, I changed my mind on that. Okay, but you said this in 2019. Well, yeah, but I'm not. Well, what made you change your mind? Well,
Yeah, but
you
it's
know,
2024.
And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, and then meanwhile, Trump tweets like last year, I'm going after political opponents, and she's like, what about that? And he's like, I don't care, bitch. That was 2023. That was
yeah,
last year. Who cares? And, like he literally like he
Right.
wrote this. He's like, I don't care. I want to move forward. Fuck that. It's like, okay, based.
But in the way like what was the big one? Was it Obamacare? Like he was all over the fucking place on Obamacare. He was
what
like,
the fuck?
He was like,
It was
he's
bad,
like, that was,
but he made it better. But he didn't say how he made it better. But he tried to get rid of it.
Right.
But he also strengthened
But he
it.
but he wasn't gonna get rid of it because he strengthened it. Yeah, exactly. He took like 5 different fucking positions on that. So funny. And then one of my favorite lines of the night was when he goes, or was when she said, well, you did try to challenge it in the Supreme Court and get it struck down. And he said, yeah, but legally, not physically.
Yeah,
Like,
I legally wanted.
fuck
I
this-
legally got rid of the ACA, but I didn't physically get. What the fuck? Is it a person?
Yeah.
And then him saying
And he
like,
tried
I agreed with a lot of things in Project 2025, and I disagree with a lot of things, but also I didn't read any of it, so I have no idea what's even inside of it.
That's called the weave, man. It's
There's a
called the weave.
million different stupid fucking things that he said. It's like, what the fuck are we even? What is this? What is the point of this? This is so stupid.
It really is, bro. I mean, it's so embarrassing that this is where we are, and the grade he's like the curve he's graded on rather is just it's insane. And
Yeah.
again, he's not been inaugurated yet. This is NBC. I can't imagine how obsequious it's going to get, after January 20th when he's inaugurated. And to your point, Kamala couldn't get away with half of this shit, a third of this shit. Like she really couldn't. I mean, to your point, like about the fracking or transgender prison.
2019
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, she can't change her mind fucking once in 5 years. That's like, how dare you, you lying bitch, And then he changes his mind every 5 minutes, and he's held to a different standard.
Yeah.
God, do you watch the full thing? I think I made it through
It was
3/4.
agony. It was gross. It was pretty gross. I
What
don't
was
think
what was the worst part for you?
Bro, I don't know. He didn't answer a single question, like anything. He was able to bob and weave through literally everything, and they would just move on to the next thing, even after blatantly lying over and over and over and over and over again. Like the whole thing was just a joke. I don't even know. He still doesn't have a healthcare plan. They have concepts of a healthcare plan. They don't like. We're still working on that. I'll tell you if anything comes up. Oh,
He's
one
only
of
been
my
doing it for 10
favorites-
years.
One of my favorites was he's like, Biden messed up real bad over the pardon stuff because he promised a position. I'm not going to take any positions on anything, so I'm never breaking my word. Like, wait, what the fuck? I'm not going to commit to anything here at all because I don't want to, be a liar. It's like, what, so you have no positions on anything? What the fuck are we even? What? It's just crazy. Yeah, Jesus.
Well, the plausible deniability bit's interesting too because I don't know if this is the case, but I can already see the cope coming from the times like because he said Liz Cheney and Benny Thompson and the January 6th committee people should be in prison, and then he says, but I'm not gonna order it. I'm not gonna call for it. It's like you stupid son of a bitch. We see this. This is the clumsiest version of plausible deniability that anybody paying attention will notice.
Somebody definitely talked to him about that. Never, ever, ever saying he's
Right.
directing the DOJ. Yeah.
Right, but he hired someone specifically that he doesn't need to direct to do. That's the whole fucking point of Kash Patel. Kash Patel's watching this jerking off with one hand, scribbling notes with the other. Like, I got it. I get loud and clear, boss. I got it. He doesn't need to specifically order Kash Patel to go after Liz Cheney or whatever. And by the way, where were you on the preemptive pardons with like Liz Cheney and people like that? Now that Patel at least stands a chance at becoming FBI director. If you were Biden, would you preemptively pardon them or say fuck it?
I'm indifferent to it.
Oh man, it's crazy. This is where we are. It really is.
Yep, pretty
see.
wacky, pretty wild. The fact that he can just lie over and over again, also about like, oh yeah, I beat all those cases. Like you're talking to a convicted felon.
Right.
Like he literally is a convicted. What do you mean? Why would you let this guy say this in front of you? Like, yeah,
Yeah, that it's. I don't know. I don't know what the media is exactly going to do for a second term, but it seems to me that they're going to be more inclined to normalize him than they ever were. I mean, obviously, obviously not to the extent that you're satisfied with or I'm satisfied with, but during his first administration, he had combative interactions with the media. I think we're actually going to see less of that.
yeah, of
I mean,
course, yeah.
yeah,
Because
I
the
think we're-
left leaning media is worried about losing, I guess, viewership or audience to the alternative media sphere. All the alternative left media is basically full on like ready to ride or die with Trump. I watched fucking Jank with Paul, the PBD guy or whatever, or Patrick Bet-David.
You see Anna Kasparian? She was on Glenn Beck.
I haven't watched.
See that?
I haven't watched that yet. I have it open in the other monitor. Jesus Christ, bro.
I can't. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's so, it's darkly funny, but it's actually quite depressing to see like how lopsided shit is. Because I mean, even with like you imagine a universe, a timeline, the multiverse, where you and Hassan and Sam Cedar and Jenk and Anna, like everybody's on the same page, at least when it comes to Trump and the Republicans. Well, even then, I mean, I don't know the numbers on this, but you correct me if I'm wrong. Everybody's still outnumbered, right? I mean, if you take the collective left or the center left or whatever we're calling this, like anti-Trump coalition, versus the Daily Wire and their constituent creators and Tim Pool and Steven Crowder and Fox, and basically the funding and the viewership are still pretty squarely on the right as far as I can tell. Jordan Peterson, all these things, Piers Morgan, and we don't even have closed ranks on this. You have the Young Turks. I didn't see the PBD interview, but I saw Jank tweet about the PBD interview and how inspired he was based on the conversations. Like, all the hosts agreed to cut the defense spending and, do this. He said like 3 things he recommended. You have Democrats at least publicly signaling that they're going to try to cooperate with the Doge caucus. And I mean, I understand that to some extent they have no choice because it's here whether you like it or not. So I get why Bernie Sanders and Ro Khanna are saying, we're at least going to dare them to try to follow through on some of the shit that they've said that they're going to do, like cut wasteful spending. But the Cenk and Anna and I don't follow Hassan very closely, but I know he's being like normalized by CNN and Pod Save America. But my understanding was he didn't even endorse
No, he didn't.
Kamala Harris. But then like during the Pod Save America interview, he suggested, like he positioned himself in the conversation like he was pro Kamala.
No,
like
Hassan, he functions the same. They learned how the old Nazis function basically. Hassan is like the suit wearing Nazi guys in 2016 who like present themselves like the one guy from the think tank. Fuck, what's the guy's name? Oh, he's a really famous neo-Nazi guy. I don't remember his name. Richard Spencer used to be that. I don't know where he is politically now. Jared Taylor? Am I making that name up? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't. That doesn't sound
these guys,
familiar
but
to me.
that's kind of how
Richard Spencer, but yeah.
Spencer's, yeah. I think that this is how Hassan presents himself now. Yeah, Hassan is very good about like going on these shows, and since Pod Save America, these guys don't do any research on the people they bring on. They can't call him out on anything, so he just goes on and he's like very mask on, like, oh, like I'm just here, guys, because I care about like healthcare and immigration or something like that, and he just presents himself that way, and then he goes back to history and he supports terrorism, and he just
So he basically presented, one approach to John Lovett of Pod Save America, but would completely contradict it in his private streams, or in his solo streams, I should say, not
He
private.
doesn't. I don't know if I would say he totally contradicts it. He just speaks very, 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 very carefully about it. He speaks so carefully that he always can say like, "Well, I wasn't contradicting myself here." Basically, yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like,
But
it's
in
it's
message,
just
yeah,
the
basically it's contradiction. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it was just that's what I mean. Like, you contemplate the political asymmetry and then the media asymmetry, and it seems to be getting worse because it seems like we're shedding major players on the quote unquote left. I mean, I know like a lot of people don't like Cenk or Anna, but I mean, the TYT's, it's a big platform, right? It matters that they're being so favorable. I mean, I haven't watched the Glenn Beck interview, but I saw her on multiple podcasts. She was on Piers Morgan. And I think she even says things I know she said it in previous interviews, but that everything that's going, she says everything going wrong in her life, Republicans have nothing to do with it. It's Democrats ruining her life. And I just,
Here's what I'm curious about. Every single thing the Democrats did was overruled by Gaza alone. I wonder if they'll hold Trump to the same standard.
I don't think so. I think that it'll be interesting to see, but like I expect that they'll say, well, we had different expectations for Trump, or Trump never pretended to particularly care about Palestinian lives. I mean, I'm sure people will still find a way to grade him on a curve, but that's where I was really impressed with Crystal Ball. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Yes, I'm trying to build bridges with between Kyle and the rest of you and everything like that.
When she was arguing with who?
Yeah, when she argued with Cenk. Yeah.
True. She trounced him on that.
No, yeah, and she did it. Even if you disagree with her, I think she did it without was totally sacrificing her disagreements with the Democrats and the Biden administration. I know you clearly don't share a lot of them, but she found a way to thread that needle. She's like, listen, I share a lot of the complaints you have, Cenk, but I'm not going to sit here. Like she said something to the effect of, even with all my complaints about Kamala, I have more in common with an establishment Democrat like Kamala Harris than I ever will with a Republican. Yeah. And she goes through like the National Labor Relations Board and Lena Khan and all these like wins.
A specific thing, yeah. Jesus, yes.
And that's why don't you have a conversation with him? Like you have a direct line with him. And I think it'd be really good. Like, yeah,
we've had multiple debates like this year. It's just always us screaming at each other. I mean,
but this is him. Like I don't think you guys have had one since he's like, I don't say gone full mask off, but since he swung his sail.
MAGA,
I think. I mean, we can, but it's just going to be the same populist brain rat talking points. Like that's all it is.
But I say be good content. He should be pushed on this even more by somebody like who would be even more pointed with him. Because the thing I want to hear is, how do you, when you compare records, how can you? I want you at least to confront the fact that the records are asymmetrical. Like, don't tell me, yeah, you understand. I want you to tell me, what has Trump and the Republicans, what have they ever done to match what Biden and the Democrats have done? I want you to concede, even if your whole strategy is to try to redirect them into some sort of like, I don't know, Aikido or Jiu-Jitsu move, whatever it is, like whatever the martial art is of like redirecting your enemy's momentum, like whatever that is politically, I want you to at least acknowledge that Biden was objectively superior to Trump and to every fucking Republican on labor. I want you to say that. I want you to
I can do it. I just, whenever I fight on, I'm gonna have to start reading a ton of, because you saw this happen with Crystal Ball, because he'll say that like, well, they're Pyrrhic victories. He's giving a little bit, but the donor class won't let them have the real wins. Like if Biden would have passed 14 an hour minimum wage, Cenk would be on the front lines talking about how much of a fucking failure it was that the corporate donor class tricked us at a 15 an hour minimum wage by pacifying us with a 14 an hour minimum wage. Like that would be like, that's just it. There's nothing the Democrats do is good enough, and nothing that the Republicans do that's bad is bad enough. It's just fucking.
To me, like I take your point on the not good enough thing, and obviously that's almost secondary in the sense like we have to first get you to agree on the fact, or we have to fight to the death, proverbially, on this fact that Democrats are better, even if you think it's insufficient. That's fine, but I want you to at least acknowledge that it is a fact that Democrats have done better on this, because Anna, at least, I don't know about Cenk, but Anna at least seems to be taking the opposite approach, where either both parties are the same or actually Republicans are better. And sure. I think that, I don't know. I just think that he should be pushed on this, and Crystal's the closest.
I mean, he literally said that in retrospect, he's very optimistic, and that his mortal enemy was defeated, the mortal enemy being the establishment,
the donor class.
By Kamala. So how can you say you're more optimistic now because your mortal enemy was defeated, if you haven't, in retrospect, changed your mind over which was preferable?
Yeah.
Any rational person wouldn't want their mortal enemy to win.
And that's where when you talked about this on Live and Learn, I said that somebody like Steven's going to have to, again, just for clarity's sake, maybe he'll bite the bullet on that. But
if any of the big debate hoster people are listening, I'll argue with Cenk over who was better, I guess. Democrats or Republicans, I guess, policy-wise.
Clip it, send it out into the ether. But somebody like Steven will have to put his feet to the fire and say, maybe you meant this. But if you didn't, you just need to understand that the natural and necessary implication of what you've said about the establishment is that in hindsight, you are glad that Trump beat Kamala.
Yeah.
What he's going to do is I supported Kamala. I said people should vote for her. You have to say, in retrospect, based on what you just said, that your mortal enemy was defeated. And so you might have supported her in the past. But now, looking back on it, do you acknowledge that Trump would have been superior than Kamala? Because that's the obvious, logical implication of what he said when he said my mortal enemy was defeated.
I'd also be interested, who's a bigger donor class than Elon Musk
Seriously.
and Vivek Ramaswamy and
We
Bill
just ignore
Ackman?
that. No, just don't stop. We don't
Yeah.
talk about that. We just don't talk about the 10 whatever fucking billionaire, actual billionaire with a B people that are in Trump's cabinet. We just don't even think about that. What an absolute
saw a
fucking joke. It was a joke when Trump was the billionaire president, but now it's like the
Josiah
billionaire
supporting
president
it. Josiah
and
supporting it.
the billionaire cabinet. What?
Josiah saying that Bernie Sanders is based for saying that he should support like Doge. That's what Josiah just said.
So what Pisco's trying to do here, Stephen, is he's trying to redeem himself after the Merrick Garland shaming that he got
You
rightly.
just said that, yeah, we should work with
Yeah.
Elon Musk to like gut public workers and do all
Wait,
that.
do you support all the bootlicking that Sanders is doing, Josiah?
No, I think that what he has proposed to do is that he's going to bring legislation to the floor on one of the major proposals that they offered to basically get them put their money where their mouths are. I think that's the only thing you can do in a situation like that. Say, okay, you proposed this thing,
Yeah, but
I
him
agree
and
with it.
Fetterman are saying like Elon's a great guy. He's like a
No, anybody saying that Elon or Vivek are great or good guys, no, that's ridiculous. But I think in a situation where Elon Musk and Vivek and all these billionaires are going to be like part of the oligarchy influencing Trump, the only card we have is, okay, they're here. We can't do anything about it. So you say you're going to do this, and this level of wasteful spending. Well, I think this is also wasteful spending. How about you put your money where your mouth is? I'm going to put legislation on the floor and get you on the record. I think that's the only card that even
I
a
think what we should do
responsible.
is we should take a book out of MAGA's book and we should identify the enemy. The enemy is MAGA and dark MAGA, the crypto billionaire supporters of Trump and MAGA itself, and we should attack them and identify them as the enemy. I think that's what we should do.
So many
Why should
MAGAs.
why should we be doing these inroads? First of all, it's so broken and stupid coming from people like Cenk, who when Biden
Yeah,
was
but I
making
think there's a
inroads-
meaningful, and I know you're memeing a bit, but just to clarify, I do think
I'm
there's
not
a meaningful
memeing.
difference.
What am I memeing about?
Oh, about Bernie bootlicking and me liking Bernie bootlicking. I know that's
Well,
a
you
meme,
seem
but
to- I'm glad that you have. I'm glad that you clarified, but I think that you're.
were you not listening to a fucking word I said when we talked about this the other day?
Wait, where do you get this idea that Josiah's supporting Bernie?
No, it just sounded like you were saying I'm okay with Bernie doing what he's doing with the reach outs to Elon.
Wait,
Bernie's
did he
saying he
say
might vote
that?
for RFK. Yeah, wait. Bernie's saying he might vote for RFK. Bernie is being weird as fuck.
Bernie said he's going to do what? Vote for the election's over.
Senate confirm, I'm guessing.
Oh,
I heard that
that's
Bernie was
fucking
open to
stupid.
voting for RFK.
Oh, no, yeah, that'd be dumb. Why? He confirmed that?
I don't know. Is this fake news? Maybe it's fake news.
I mean, I haven't heard it. If that's true, that's insane. I listen. I don't. The only cabinet level person that I can think of offhand that I would at least understand Democrats supporting would be Marco Rubio, and not even because they agree with his policy prescriptions, but he's the only one qualified. He is the only qualified cabinet level nominee that requires Senate confirmation that Trump has offered so far that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
But RFK, fuck no. Even if you agreed with the whole,
I think what he's saying about food is exactly correct.
Based.
And to me, that's indicating like instead of going on and criticizing RFK and targeting RFK and making him public enemy number one, he's saying, yeah, he's right about some things, and that's what it sounds like they're doing with Elon.
Yeah, so I mean, we have to watch it, but I mean, Pisco, like you played the devil's advocate for Republicans and MAGA and like people we disagree with before. Like you're the type of person to call a spade and be public about it. So I don't have an issue with that with Democrats in theory doing it. It's just the level of support they give. If he starts foisting praise on Elon Musk or RFK Jr., yeah, that's sketch as hell, and I would
People
totally
are
disagree
giving,
with that.
I'm sorry, and a lot of these people are based, and I like them. Like I like Moskowitz, I like Rokan in other contexts. I voted for Bernie Sanders twice, but when you're giving cover to dark MAGA and this billionaire class of people who are trying to literally gut public workers and to like deregulate their industries, why are you doing that? Why aren't you calling them out 100%? Why are you pretending that they're going to cut military spending? They're not going to do that.
But that's to me that's
and they're charming you. Not you.
I understand. I know that's not what I'm doing, and I agree that that's what it looks like. That's what Cenk's doing. Certainly, what Anna's doing. I have not seen anything from Bernie or even Ro Khanna that suggests that they're there yet. Obviously, if it gets to that point, I totally disagree. I'm on your ass for the times you praise the Supreme Court because I think that the whole thing is illegitimate. But again, that's my point. I don't take issue. Well, it's true. I mean, like in the sense, like
take issue with Democrats
also,
working
I have to leave in
with
like 2 minutes, so go ahead.
I do take issue with Democrats working with Doge. I take issue with that.
There's
Yeah,
no,
so,
Doge
like,
has
Jared
no,
Moskowitz.
that's not even like an official thing, right? That's literally just like a piece of paper he wrote. Like, there's no,
So-
is he going to authorize
well,
them
there's
by
two things.
executive or what?
Yeah. So, well, wait. So there's two things. There's Doge, which the actual, quote unquote Department of Government Efficiency, that requires, congressional authorization to become a full blown agency. But
Which is not
there's
gonna
the
happen.
Doge Caucus. There's the Doge Caucus, which is forming in the legislature. So they are forming a group within the legislature, not a committee, but a group that's going to be working
Yeah, a group of people
with
that
Doge.
vote, but they don't. But you say working
Yeah.
with Doge. Just to be clear, Doge is nothing. That's nothing. That Doge doesn't mean anything.
It will be something.
Sure, he might.
Well,
it's
not-
not going to be a full
not
government or office, right?
It'll be some office under the executive office of the president.
Sure.
And it'll
Well,
have power to the extent that it-
whatever he has the authorization to create, but it's not going to be like a full.
Well, so I think. Well, it's interesting because I think there's some gray area because didn't the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, that gun legislation, didn't President Biden and Maxwell Frost, I think they created in the executive branch some sort of quote, I don't know if it's an agency or bureau or whatever, and I know there are meaningful differences, but there is some official group in the White House that is responsible for dispensing the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act gun legislation funds and all this shit and working with states. And Republicans I know have bitched about it because they're like, well, this thing wasn't authorized by the Senate. The legislation was, but the actual agency and the executive branch responsible for it doesn't have congressional authorization.